Hello everybody, it's Jen. Welcome back to another design team project for Scrapping for Less. I'm starting off this video showing you how I store my kits once I unbox them. And if you missed the unboxing, I will link it above so you can see everything that I got in the September Happy Fall Y'all kit. So one of my viewers asked how I store my kit. And I have this container. It's just bigger than 6 by 6, probably 6.5 by 6.5. On the right hand side, I put all of the sequin packs and all of the little extras, embellishments and stuff on the right hand side. On the left hand side, the lid, I just add if there's any specialty paper, and then I add my 6 by 6 paper on top. So I'm just showing you the card I made for the sneak peek week. So I didn't do a video for this, but wanted to share it with you. These gorgeous copper leaves came in the kit. I colored one using a red alcohol marker and one with an orange. So I love the way that turned out. For card number 1, using the September kit, I started off with Bumblebee Marcy. She is so adorable. And it's a mini Marcy stamp set made exclusively for Scrapping for Less by La La Land Crafts. And what I love about La La Land Crafts is they have a colored photo on the front of the stamp package. So I have that off to the side and I'm using that as inspiration. I followed it pretty closely. The only thing I changed up really was her boots. They had them colored yellow and I colored them black just because I wanted a little bit more black in my card. So I'm starting with darkest here. I just find it easier, and especially with small areas, it helps me know where I want to put my shadows. So I'm just doing a couple of the lines on her cute little bumblebee outfit, and I'll go through from C9 to C7 and C5, and then blending that out with C3 and a tiny bit of C1. Now the little ruffles on her skirt are super tiny, so I'm just using the tip of my marker and I'm only using the C9 and the C7 for that. So I'm going to do the bottom of her boots here the darkest and then move that up with the C7, blend it with the C5, go in with the C3. I don't believe I leave the tiniest bit of highlight for the C1. For the yellows, you can see them all off to the left-hand side here. I'm also bringing in an E13, which is a brown color, to add dimension. And I really loved using the colored image for inspiration. I know I already said that, but it really helped me kind of push out of my comfort zone to see if I could get it to look like their image. And I was really pleased with how this turned out. So I'm just going to do her dress, and there's so much yellow in this image. I'm going to do her hair the same color as well, and then the added stripes there that aren't colored yet in the yellow, and her little sleeves. She's just so adorable. So I know this is a long video. I have asked on a poll many times on my YouTube homepage if people want me to leave the coloring in, even if that means longer videos, and overwhelmingly the majority said yes. So if you're not really a fan of watching people color, then feel free to kind of skip around the video as you choose to see how the cards were made, and hopefully this will give inspiration to those of you who just want to see the colors that I'm using to color the images. So here's her hair done. It was basically the same as her dress, so I thought it best to skip through that. I'm giving her a very pale skin coloring. And then I'm going to give her some really big rosy cheeks. I do add a little bit of pink to her lips to give her some lipstick, I suppose, or maybe some lip gloss. And then I'm going to move in with the BG markers for her wings. So I'm going quite dark right near her body to give some depth and dimension to the wings, and then I'm going to blend that out so it's lightest at the tips. I am going to add some Nouveau glitter drops at the end once I have her on the card, so I'm not too worried about the blending. I'm going to bring in my blender marker here just to lighten that up so they look a little bit transparent. And then I'm going to finish her up with coloring the little daisies. So I'm only using one green marker and one C1 marker for the white, and then the inside I did with yellow. So I'm going to add some highlights here using my white Signo gel pen. This is my favorite white gel pen. I'm just adding some lines in her hair, on the wings, and on her dress, and then a couple little lines on her boots as well. I'm going to come in with my black glaze pen for her eyes. I need to let that dry, and then I can add a little white dot back onto her eyes. So I'm going to fussy cut her out, and then I'm going to create my card. I absolutely adored this honeycomb paper. This was paper designed by Scrapping for Less for the kit, which is really exciting. So I'm using the yellow cardstock. I'm going to hear this. It's a full panel. Cut out a stitched oval with the shiny black paper, and then I'm going to add her to the card. First though, I am going to do my sentiment. I'm using Peacock Feathers Distress Oxide. When I first put it on there, I was too heavy-handed, so I just pulled the paper up and used a bit of lighter blending, but I wanted this to match her little wings. I'm going to use the stamp that came with this stamp set, Cute as Can Be. I'm going to trim this off. This is my old Creative Memories trimmer here. This thing has been going, it's like the Energizer Buddy. It just never dies, and I absolutely love it. So I'm just going to trim that up. I don't cut very straight, so I don't trust myself without a trimmer. I did fishtail both sides of the sentiment strip, and I popped her up on some fun foam as well as the sentiment strip. Here's where I'm going to use the glitter drops, and I believe these came in a past kit. This is the White Blizzard by Nouveau, and it gives her some adorable sparkle to her wings, and I think it really finishes off this card quite nicely. Once I get that done, I am going to use my Spectrum Noir glitter marker just on her little bee headband and on her black striping on the dress as well, and add a little shine to her boots for good measures. So here's the card complete. We'll move on to card number 2 here, once this still shot is complete. So for card number 2, I'm using the Scarecrow Marcy. I went ahead and did her skin, as that was the same colors that I used for Bumblebee Marcy. And now I'm just going in and I'm adding the E51 where I want to color her dress. Again, I'm using the packaging with the colored image as inspiration. I didn't quite know how this was going to turn out. I'm not very good at folds or pleats in clothing, so this was very much good practice for me to try it. I think it came out okay, something I want to keep working on. So I'm using the browns for that, the darker browns, so the E25 and the E23, and then I'm just going to work my way down to the lightest colors until I get the look that I'm going for. I did speed this up quite a bit. I wish I could color this fast. I think this image took me over half an hour probably to color in real time. But there was lots of detail to this and lots of smaller kind of areas to fill. But it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed sitting down with these mini Marcy stamp sets that are exclusive in the September kit and just kind of color away and let the stress of the work week just pass me by. So I'm coloring her hat the same as her dress, trying to have it really light in the center like it is in the image. Now I'm moving into the greens. So the green on the packaging is quite dark around where the shadows are, and then it goes into like a dark olivey kind of color. So I'm using a combination of my Copics and my Spectrum Noir markers here. I don't have a lot of green tones in my Copic collection as of yet, so I really have to pull on my Spectrum Noirs. And I do have to do a lot of tip to tip here just to get these blended. I do like how it came out. I normally don't have such kind of harsh, dark shadows in my images, but it does look really pretty when you get it finished. So again, always fun to try the packaging, but also, you know, do you and color it how you want it to be colored. So now I'm moving into her little vest here. She's got little gloves on, which is so cute, and there's little straw coming out from her gloves in the top of her boots. So I'm going to color this green the same as her leggings and her boots, and then the string around her dress as well. And again, the string on her dress is very thin, so I'm just using the tip of the marker here. So I'm excited to hear what your favorite part of the kit was this month. I think mine was Bumblebee Marcy. She was so cute and she was so fun to color. But the kit is really versatile this month, and all of the stamp sets are exclusive to the card kit, which is a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying creating with the card kit. So moving on now to her sunflower. I started off with the E49 just sort of in the middle. I will come back with a darker brown just to blend that out a bit more. And the OR1, GB7, GB4, and GB1 are my favorite color combinations for that orangey yellow sunflower look. I love the way the sunflower came out. I'm going to color her hair with the exact same colors. She's so cute. She's really starting to come to life now. And I'm using the GB1 for the straw that's in her gloves and coming out of the top of her boots. So once I get that layer down of the GB1, just so I know where I'm coloring, I'm going to go in from darkest to lightest again. Hair is another thing that I need lots of practice with. I'm still, learning. So it was fun to color this up the way it was on the little image. So really just kind of moving in back and forth from darkest to lightest. And her hair matches her sunflower perfectly. So once I get that complete, I am going to start on the bird. Now the raven did have some blue in it, so I used a blue that I thought would work to look similar. So I'm using my B06. And then I'm using C9 and C7 and C5 to color in this little raven. Black is so hard, and this is a fairly small image, so it came out okay. I did have to go over it a couple times. I also went back, you'll see here the little marks under her eyes. I colored those green. Now I'm going in with my black gel pen here and my white to add some detail. I came back and gave her a little bit more of a brown matte lipstick, which I thought looked really cute as well. Gonna add some lines to her hair and her outfit. I also added some of the white gel pen to the straw just so they'd show up a little bit more, and the little dots in her boots. She's so cute. So I'm just going to go back in and add the white to her eyes. I'm going to fussy cut this out. I'm going to use some of the green cardstock as my card base. All my cards are A2 size cards, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I sort of loosely used sketch number 3, but kind of tailored it to my own liking. So I'm used that large rectangle as inspiration, but I wanted mine to go the entire length of the page. I used a stitched border die so it would give it a little bit of something around the edges. Instead of the square, I'm using an oval because I'm really into ovals lately. Put a little glue on this punch out from one of the collections with the sunflowers because I thought it was perfect for the sunflower in her hair. I added a circle behind the golden oval, and then I stamped out the sentiment that came in that stamp that says, "Hey there," and I'm going to tuck that behind her. So used the sketch, but also changed it up so it would fit the card that I wanted to make. Instead of using those 3 little circles, I'm just going to scatter some sequins around the card. I'm using my multimedia matte adhesive here, and I just like to use a little stamp block just to push those down so that they're good and adhered to the card base. So there's card number 2 complete. She's so cute with her little raven friend. For the 3rd card, I'm using Teresa Talks Fall. I'm using some Bristol Smooth cardstock here and my Zig markers. I will try my best to remember to leave the colors that I used in the description box. I do have them here in a container, so I should be able to list that fairly easily. So I'm using 2 colors here and just using some water to blend this out. I did go out of the line here, even though I stamped this with VersaFine and then I heat embossed it with some clear embossing powder. The wonderful thing about Zig markers is you can use clean water and get rid of any mistakes that you have made. For her sweater, I'm going to use a burgundy type color. I thought they went really well with the dark blue color from her pants, and just adding some shading here, coming in with a lighter pink, and then I'll blend that out with some water. So I'm using Tim Holtz paintbrushes. These paintbrushes are super affordable, and so far I'm really loving them. I don't do a ton of watercoloring, so for me these are a great price point, and they come in a package of 5 or 6, I think. So I really love these paintbrushes as well. So here, this little image is starting to come to life. I sped this up quite a bit as well. I am going to add a little orange for the pumpkin. I do go back later and add a little bit of brown to that because once it dried back, I felt like it was too bright for the rest of the colors used in the image. I'm going to color her with some dark brown colors using 2 colors here, and then I'll blend those out. I don't use any more than 2 colors for any of the sections for this particular image. She was a lot of fun to color as well. She's nice and tall, so she takes up the large proportion of an A2 size card, which is really fun and something that I think is a little bit different. So this is a stamp set that was designed by Scrapping for Less for the kit. So it is exclusive to the September kit. So I'm just going to do up her flesh here, skin in flesh tones, I guess is what I was trying to say. And then I'm going to use the same pink for her cheeks, the lightest one that I used, and the lipstick. I'm going to do the mug in some greens. It's a really tiny space, but I do end up using 2 just because I wanted the darker and then the lighter olivey color. And I end up doing her shoes the same green as well. Really cute. And then I go back and use a really light warm brown for the steam from her mug, and I'm giving her some blue eyeshadow here to match her pants. So this card is super plain and simple. Sometimes I just love a good clean and simple card. So I cut out a panel from one of the papers in the card kit. I used my scalloped rectangle die. This is an MFT die. I love it. I use it all the time. I'm going to stamp the "Let's Get Cozy and Have a Chat" right onto that panel. I have popped up my little character on some 3M foam tape, and I'm going to add her to the card. I'm really loving kind of snuggling the sentiment up to my images. I'm just showing you here If you wanted to add some more pizzazz, you could add some sequins very easily to this card, but I just liked it really plain and simple. So to finish her up, I'm going to use a white gel pen just to add some detailing, and this card will be complete. So here's a still shot, and then we'll move into the final card. So the final card is using this adorable owl. This is another exclusive stamp set by Scrapping for Less. This one is called, what is this one called? Give a Hoot. So cute. I love the big eyes. So lots of browns for this little cutie. I wanted to have his feathers on his breast to be lighter, and then the main body to be darker colors. So I'm really just kind of doing shading around the sides, underneath his eyes and beak, and then in all the little diamond, it's not really diamond, but where the peaks are in the crest where the feathers are meeting, and I'm simply just going down the line of markers. I think I stopped at the E13, maybe the E53 for, it looks like it's either the E13 or the E53 to do his little breast here. And I did go back over that quite a few times. So here's where I'm going to really darken up the color. So it would be darker under his wings and then by the front part of his body, giving him little mohawk hair here above his eyes, which I think is super adorable. And again, I started with the E49 and I'm going to move my way down to the E29, the E27, and possibly the E25. Just flicking out around the top there where I kind of want it to look like he's got a tuft of hair. Just going back and forth here. This image was super easy to color. It's nice and big, so you can use lots of different mediums to color this little cutie. He'd be cute with Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. I thought about using my Distress markers to color him as well. Super cute. So I'm just going to do his claws here really dark. I'm using the E49 and the E29 for that, and I'm going to do the beak the same color. And then I'm using the E51 and the E53 and the E13 around his eyes. I wanted to keep that section fairly light, but I wanted it to be noticeably different from his little feathers on the front of him. So to finish this off, I wanted to use some blue markers here to give him some blue eyes. There was a lot of blue mixed in with the kit, so I thought that would go well. I'm using a combination of Spectrum Noir markers here, using the tip technique just to get it blended to the way that I wanted it. Super cute. I am going to use some glossy accents over his entire eyes and let that dry, and then just darkening up the pupils here so they're nice and black, which really allows them to pop. Of course, here comes the white gel pen again to add some detailing, but I feel like this really brings him to life. I'm going to flick some at the top here where his little tuft of hair is. Fussy cut him out, and this is a really simple card. So I used sketch 1 as inspiration. So I cut out those 2 panels, the same dimensions that are listed on the sketch. And then I realized that this little guy isn't going to fit in the square as laid out in the sketch. So that's okay. I'll just wing it. And so I decided to, in the end, forgo any more pieces on the inside, and I took this branch, which at first look you would think is for the little tiny owl in the stamp set to sit on, but the more I got looking at it, I thought, well, this big owl could be sitting on this as well if I turn it horizontally. So I colored that up off screen, And I'm not putting any glue on the leaves so that they kind of curl up on the card to give it some dimension. Just going to put this in place. And then I'm going to add my little owl. I've got him popped up on some fun foam. I'm going to add him to the top of the card. There really wasn't any room for a sentiment on the front of the card. I really wanted to use a speech bubble die to add it to the front and use the sentiment. Sorry, I was foul. I think that's what it says. You'll see here in a second I end up stamping it on the inside. But I think this turned out really cute. Sorry, I was in a foul mood, which cracks me up. So I think this could be a really great masculine card, or for anybody. I'm going to kind of keep it in my stash in case I need it for my hubby. So there's the 4 cards. If you've stuck with me this long, thank you so much. So the fox one was the one I did for the sneak peek, so make sure to follow the Scrapping for Less blog for those sneak peeks prior to release week. Here's the rest of the cards. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a fantastic day, and thank you so much for spending time with me. Take care. Bye.